Atma Namaste, everyone. Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consultant, giving you a big, fat, beautiful shout out on this beautiful, sunny, crisp day here in Mt Shasta, California. In my 8 years of doing live streams, A, the longest I've ever gone without saying anything. B, the only time I've ever eaten an entire ice cream cone from start to finish. I'm really proud of myself. So, where I was last night at Crater Lake, Oregon, beautiful, isolated, super cold. I drove about 2 hours south, actually 2.5 hours south, to bring me to Mount Shasta. And I absolutely love the energy of this town. Love the energy, love the weather, love the energy. The vibe is super clean, it's crisp, and it has Mount Shasta right here. So the drive to Mount Shasta is about 31 minutes. 31 minutes. Now there is a holy master that is connected to this mountain. That holy master is very near and dear to me. I won't spoil it for you. I'll let you do your own research on it. But the books written about this holy teacher contain him doing service at this mountain. So I'm thoroughly looking forward to finding a campsite. There's a KOA about 2 miles from here. I have to locate it and set up shop there. And then I'd like to stay here for 2 or 3 days as kind of like letting go, and then sucking in and absorbing as many amazing, beautiful energies as possible. Now, you may hear a lot of noises, right? Whoa, it's a pink vehicle. Check it out. What the hell's going on here? I feel like I want to swear a lot in this town for some reason, but you may hear a lot of noises like the railroads, you may hear the traffic right behind me on the major street, but it doesn't seem to be agitating at all. It's almost like, I don't know, the environment transforms the sound. Ooh, look, I'm right across the street from a crystals, minerals, wands, smudge fans, jewelry, drums, flutes, and artwork. I wanted to learn how to play the flute when I was younger, like 14, 15 years old, also known as the tin whistle. But as with most things at that time, I didn't have the constancy of aim and effort and non-laziness virtue developed in my life. But that is definitely not the case anymore. So, I just really like the simplicity of this area. It's got fat bushes, it's got tall trees, there's a lot of greenery, but there's also, I don't know, I actually went into that ice cream cone place, and it was one of the few places that I've been to in the entire country that nobody inside was wearing a mask. They're just like, whatever, here's your ice cream, get out, you know? And I kind of appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. And there's these 3 girls kissing each other, and I don't quite know what that's all about. But always keeping it interesting in Northern California. I will say this, Alicia, I'm gonna say, I will say this, when I was in Eugene, Oregon, I had an interesting experience, almost like a deja vu moment. When I was living in Denver, I lived in Denver for 8 years, or within the Denver area, right? 20 minutes here or there, because I lived different places throughout the 8 years. And we would do a feeding program every single Sunday for 8 years. The only times that I did not participate in the feeding program is when I was out of town, on a retreat, on inner work, something like that. But pretty much every single week for 8 years, we did the feeding program. We would go to the McDonald's, we would get burgers, and we would hand it out to the homeless. And then I've noticed within the past 2 years, even before COVID, within the past 2 years of being in Denver, crime was going up, poverty was going up, homelessness was going up, drug use was going up. The numbers of people moving to Denver were going down 2 years in a row that hadn't happened the previous decade. So I was like, what is going on? Because I love Denver. It's beautiful. It's 300 days of sunshine. There's a lot of prosperity. It's got the mountains. There's trails everywhere, right? And I go, what is happening? In the last 6 months, right? So this is towards the end of 2020. The last 6 months of being in Denver, it was like an apocalypse, right? Because of COVID happened. They shut down the entire downtown area. They boarded up windows. There was rioting. There was protesting. There was a lot of like chaos that was happening. I couldn't understand like what had happened to the beautiful city that I fell in love with and thought I was going to live and die in. And then as I was traveling through Eugene, Oregon yesterday, I had a flashback of Denver because Eugene is beautiful. Eugene is spiritual. Eugene has a lot of creativity, has a lot of intelligent, kind people, right? Some of the strangest dressing habits I've ever seen outside of New York City, like multicolored hair, different kinds of makeup that you're like, are you trying to be an Instagram model, or are you trying to win an award for a horror show? Like what's going on with the makeup? I like it. I think it's cool. It's like goth to the next level. And but then as I was driving through different pockets of Eugene, namaste, I was noticing the homelessness. And I'm not talking, guys, listen to me when I say homelessness. I'm not talking like a small group of people, 4 or 5 people that are homeless. I'm talking, there is a huge bridge that went through a part of downtown Eugene, and there had to have been minimum of 75 tents scattered throughout underneath this bridge. And it's in a beautiful area, even though it's under a bridge, there's like greenery, but you could just see person after person after person after person of homelessness, drug use, mental health disorders, people arguing, people fighting, people passed out from overdosing in their tents or on the outskirts of their tents, right? And I go, what the hell is happening, right? I was like, what the hell is happening? This beautiful city is deteriorating and falling apart from the inside out. So I was sharing this with my mentor, and she, has her ninja power of making complicated things simple. And she says, Lord Shiva. And I was like, creative destruction, the creative destroyer and restorer. And it seems like I've noticed this within Eugene. I noticed this within Bend, Oregon. I noticed this within Antelope to a lesser grade degree. I noticed this in, where was I in Washington? Not quite Mount St. Helens area, but I noticed as I was driving through the major cities in my trip so far that there's this destruction that's taking place from the inside out. The old ways of being, the old forms are dying, but destruction is not always a pleasant thing. the analogy we like to use in Pranic healing about creative destruction is, if you have a kitchen that you're wanting to replace and put in a new kitchen, what do you first have to do? You have to destroy the old kitchen, right? To make way for room, for space, for the new kitchen to be restored, to be built into. And so all the things that have been going on in the major cities of people living on top of each other, the high taxes, the high real estate prices, the high medical costs, the increased pollution, all of these things are stirring up the creative destruction within the people that live there, because you can feel this deep sense of irritability and frustration and hopelessness and despair that I've never been so sensitive to in my entire life until the past couple of years. Because A, my level of sensitivity is increasing because of the work that I do, and B, because the people in those areas are getting more and more and more stirred up. So we're on that precipice of having a destruction, right? Things dissolving around us. Because in order to make way for the new ways of being, the new cities, the new laws, the new legislations, the new protocols of how society needs to function in this part of the world, you need to destroy the old to build way for these new. And destruction is not always pleasant. Most of the time, it's not pleasant. Grandmaster Cho Koksui says, we don't have change by people changing their mind. We have change by the old people dying. Because old people, when they die, they take with them the old thoughts, the old beliefs, the old ways of being that no longer serve the upcoming generations. Because it requires a lot of intelligence and it requires a lot of will to change, to transform, to become better. So it's really, I have to go through my own grieving process in the cities that I once loved and once saw myself growing old in. Because of the law of cycle and law of change, it's not really the case anymore. Now, are there other parts of the world that are not so close to creative destruction as others? Of course. Some cities are going up, some cities are going down. Some countries are going up, some countries are going down. Some medical improvement is going in certain areas of the world. Certain medical improvement are going down in other areas of the world. Law of cycle, law of change. The wave comes in, the wave goes out. The sun comes up, the sun goes down. We go to sleep at night, we wake up in the morning, right? Law of cycle, law of change. Our blood pressure goes up, our blood pressure goes down. So at least I can celebrate and be grateful for this moment in time here in Mt Shasta, that it's peaceful, it's beautiful, it's clean, it's friendly, and how long that will last, well, that remains to be seen, right? But I can tell you this, that more and more people are getting more and more agitated within the major cities and major metropolitan areas throughout the entire United States. That's why real estate prices in remote areas, in rural areas, have skyrocketed over the past year. It was interesting because when I was living in Kalispell, Montana, and my landlord, he built his property 3 years ago. He paid for the land, and then he built a house and then a second house / apartment on that land on 5 acres. And he says he has people contacting him, asking him to sell some of his acres so they can build on it because the demand is so high. And another guy, an Uber driver that I ran into in Kalispell, he also owns 5 acres, and he's getting constant offers from general contractors and builders. Hey, can we buy at least an acre? If you can't sell us 2 acres, can you sell us at least an acre? And he's like, the whole point of why I bought 5 acres is to be at peace, is to not have people up in my grill and in my face all the time. So more and more people are leaving the cities. They're having an exodus out of the cities into the rural areas, into the pastures, into the plains, into the mountains, into the desert, because people just want inner peace. People just want not to be living on top of each other. People are tired of paying the high taxes and the high prices and the high this and the high that. They're tired of being stuck in traffic all the time, right? Every time I've gone to LA, no matter what time of day or night I drive on the highway, which is a 6-lane highway, I'm always in traffic. No matter what time. I've driven really, really super early in the morning, super late at night, the middle of the day, during rush hour, not during rush hour, and I inevitably am caught in traffic for at least an hour. And I go, how do people do this 5 days a week? How do they do it? How do they do it? I don't blame them, right? A lot of these people who work in LA and who commute 2 hours each way, 4 hours a day in drive time, they make 6-7 figures. High 6 figures, low 7 figures, and to them it's worth it. But now with this remote work, because of COVID, people are starting to go, wait a minute, I'm not location bound to earn my income. My income is earned online, right? I do my healings with people all over the world, anywhere I am in the world, right? But people are starting to go, wait a minute, I don't have to live in this congested area to make things happen. Another example of law of cycle, law of change. Look at Hollywood. Hollywood production, where people are flying out to Hollywood to make movies in the LA area, is going down and down and down. And now Atlanta, Georgia, is starting to become like, quote unquote, the next Hollywood. Because they're producing movies, they're having there's work for actors and actresses and directors and producers, right? Because law of cycle, law of change. I mean, how long has Hollywood been the place to go for movies? 75 years? Well, nothing lasts forever. Mark, I'm in Namaste. What's up, baby? Mark and I went to school back in the Dizzy. We were elementary school chums. He lives on the East Coast and I'm here in Northern California. So anyways, I hope that gives you guys food for thought. I hope you can look at your life and examine it and go, where are the law of cycles and law of change happening for me? Where am I having to experience creative destruction? Creative destruction could be in a health issue. Creative destruction could be in a job. Maybe your job is obsolete or becoming obsolete. The services or products you sell are no longer realistic in the marketplace, right? So think about if you're still selling CDs or 8-tracks, right? You'd be out of business. So what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? It's like you have Uber that basically replaces taxis, right? Creative destruction. Creative disruption. So anyways, I'm going to find a place that I can hang my hat for the next couple of days. Wish me luck. And then I'm going to head over to the base. I'm not going to be climbing Mt Shasta, but the base of Mt Shasta. And I'll keep you guys posted. Lots of love to each and every one of you. May God and my teacher, Grandmaster Cho Koksui, bless your lives deeply and profoundly. And I will talk to you soon. And if you're in need of healing, because I've been doing healing on the road the past week, let me know how I can serve you. Just go to christianrlong.com, schedule a healing session directly, and let's make a miracle happen in your life. Bye-bye.